I'm Markia.
Want to hear something scary?
Deadly Servants. Happy New Year! Hope 2022 is off to a good start, and the scariest thing that will happen to anyone is an episode of this podcast. Most of all, we here at Snarled and Something Scary wish you good health and happiness. And thank you so much for being part of our community. We are so grateful for the opportunity to be with you here every week. You'll never know the horrors you're truly capable of until you're forced to unleash your inner beast. Lane and Alani were walking home late on New Year's Eve after a party. It was Lane's idea to take a shortcut through the woods, using the light of their cell phones to help see the way. The ground was icy and very slippery, but Lane was stubborn and refused to admit the path was dangerous. They were about halfway through the thick trees when they heard a branch snap behind them. "Hello?" called out Lane, confident as ever. There was no reply, but there was another noise. Lane was about to ask again when out of nowhere, a figure appeared with a hatchet. It was a young teen in pigtails and a dirty blue school uniform. Suddenly, she screamed and swung the hatchet into Lane's head. Alani tried to scream, but a hand clamped over her mouth from behind, and she was knocked out cold. When she woke up, she was surrounded by shadowy figures. She stood up slowly, realizing she was still in the woods. Her head throbbed. Leaning against a tree for support, Alani noticed the young woman wearing a ripped mask over her nose and mouth. "A pleasure to have some new blood." She motioned for Alani to follow her. Alani obeyed. More of the figures had appeared. Alani whimpered as she was dragged into the circle of people. One wore a beige trench coat and a white mask. There was also the teen with pigtails, wearing a filthy and now bloody blue school uniform. And another person with gray skin, no eyelids, no hair. Despite their odd appearances, it was the final being who caused her stomach to drop. He stood over 8 feet tall with a face as blank as death. His limbs and torso were long and slender. The tall, thin man advanced and raised a hand. Alani was paralyzed. Suddenly, her eyes started to close, head still swimming. She fell to the ground, unconscious again. When she awoke in a darkened room, something was very different. She felt changed. Looking down, she saw she was now wearing black leather gloves. Her festive party dress was now a dark trench coat. She was wearing military fatigues and military-type boots. Most surprisingly of all was a 3-foot sword in a sheath at her waist. She drew the weapon and admired how the blue and silver blade caught the moonlight coming in through a window. And she was overcome with an urge to use it, to hurt someone, to kill someone. Alani turned to see the teen with pigtails. She handed over a mask and grinned. Alani examined it. "Put on the mask," Pigtails insisted. "Join Slenderman's ranks." Unable to control her actions in a nightmare, Alani screamed as her hands acted on their own accord. Her scream cut off as her own hands pulled the mask over her face. All remaining thoughts about her past were wiped clean. All memories were replaced, and she felt the certainty of her new purpose, a surging strength and desire to kill. Pigtails watched her, her head cocked to the side like a bird. "Now you will serve as an agent of Slenderman, obeying all that is instructed." Alani nodded, picking up her new weapon, the sword, watching as her colleagues, her new family, entered the room. She turned to look at herself in the mirror. Her eyes glowed in different colors, one amber, the other all black. "Let's spill some blood," she said hollowly. Only serving Slenderman's will remained. She no longer remembered her past life. Alani was gone. She now lived for the thrill of purging those that did not follow him. The group exited the woods, heading for the festively decorated houses in the distance, towards the sounds of New Year's gatherings and other parties. Her new life as an agent of Slenderman had begun. This new year would belong to him and his now loyal minions. He controlled her now, and she would kill or die for him. No questions asked.